My name's Kimball Storedahl with Jerry Storedahl Sons in Southwest Washington. We're a family-owned company, third generation. The company originally started in 1969 and currently has, between my brother and I, we've got 8 of our own children working in the company today. We've got 5 operating quarries, 1 sand and gravel pit, and 2 sand pits. We have 4 screens, 1 7203, finish screen, 6x16 triple deck medium duty scalper, a 6x16 double deck medium duty scalper, and a 6x16 triple deck finish screen. Typically our product ranges 8-inch and smaller. A lot of different variables there between base rocks and asphalt aggregates. Pretty much cover everything from A to Z. I believe our initial contact was probably through AgriCon West. They introduced us to the crusher, talked about it, working with the factory, doing some R&D type work. It was kind of an unknown deal for all of us. You know, when we originally started out, we didn't know for sure what this thing was going to do. Early on, what intrigued us about getting involved with the R&D on the K500 with KPI-JCI was partially the fact that we've had such good performance out of their screens. Secondly, we did have and have had some experience with roller bearing cone crushers along with bush crushers. Not bad experience out of either one of them. We've had good service life, and because of the parts availability, proximity, we're only 3 hours away from the factory in Eugene, Oregon.
I'm Jeff Schwartz, president of the Oregon facility for KPI-JCI and Astec mobile screens. So as far as the process goes with the Storedahls, it's a very collaborative effort from the get-go. We were able to interact with them quite a bit, understand their operation, and know that the K500 was going to be successful in their portable setup. They run 5 to 6 different portable sites. They see a lot of different material types, a lot of different needs. So we started out crushing primarily base aggregates in the state of Washington at 1-inch 3/4 minus. We learned a lot in that process. The Storedahls were very interactive with us. Brought a lot of that information back with our engineering group and with our service group. We're able to make some modifications to the performance of the machine and really get it dialed in with them. So much so to where at the end of 2013 they purchased their first unit, and then we embarked on a second project, R&D with them, where we put another K500 in as a secondary crusher, and we're currently in the process of evaluating that and doing the same things. We're doing some efforts to maximize production, efficiency, and to really get the crusher to really perform on a coarse crushing application.
Our experience with the K500 to date as a secondary crusher, what I would call a standard cone type application, has been very impressive. It's a very aggressive cone crusher. We have done quite a bit with liner configurations, speed on the crusher, stroke. Basically, we've been from A to Z in that particular application, hand in hand with the factory, as well as in a tertiary application. We've got a K500 running closed circuit finish screen that we have fed it anywhere from 5-inch minus down to 2-inch minus, and operated the crusher anywhere from 3/16 closed side setting on up to, typically we don't run it much wider than about 7/8 or 1-inch. As far as tons per hour throughput on the crusher, we've operated that crusher anywhere from a modified extra coarse liner to a modified extra fine liner. Typical throughput has varied from 2 1/4-inch closed side setting, running times in excess of 750 ton an hour, down to as tight a closed side settings as 1/4-inch 3/16 closed side setting, which will reduce the throughput on the crusher down in the neighborhood of 225 to 250 tons an hour.
The production's is a must, so we're seeing the tons per hour increase. The K500 really is the next move for KPI-JCI in that direction with cone crushers. Some of the things that are pretty unique about that crusher, we do a tramp iron relief system that utilizes a pressure relief latch system. The thing that sets us apart than that, it's a non-pressure building system, as we like to describe it, a very soft, quiet. In the event of a tramp iron event, it's not a drastic, violent occurrence. Our machine is truly a adjust on the fly. We've got a left-hand thread with a brass thread insert, allows us to, with the dissimilar metals, to adjust that crusher on the fly. We think that overall the geometry, the combination of stroke, speed, and head angle really make our machine the best cone crusher on the market.
American made to us. I mean, typically from a maintenance standpoint, it really all kind of burns down to nuts and bolts. I mean, when you get a service manual, you can read it, it's all in English. There's a comfort level there. I'll tell you right now, we really haven't had any bearing failures. The one thing I think we do like about the roller bearings versus a bushed style crusher. Typically a bush crusher, whenever you do a manganese change, which for us is typically around 6 to 8 months, we haven't got highly abrasive material, so we typically get 6, 8, 9 months out of a set of manganese, if not up to 12 months. But with a bush crusher, typically you're not putting a lot of money into it, but you're putting some money into it. Beyond just a manganese change, every time you go into that crusher, there's something that you got to pour money back into, and it's just a nickel and dime thing. With the roller bearing crushers, typically we go in, we change the manganese, everything else is fine. We don't pour that steady stream of money into the crusher, that manganese change on a regular basis. The one thing we've liked about the K500, we can go in and out of that thing, change the manganese on it, and have it back together, ready to run the next day, typically in about 3 hours. It's very easy to work on, doesn't consume any odd parts. When we get in there, we go in and out, we change the manganese, and that's it. We're ready to go back to work. On our existing equipment, which basically is our screens, we have had Agricon West come out and assist in some rebuilds, rebearing, that type of thing. Typically, we try to handle most of our service work internally with our own people, but if it gets beyond our technical savvy, they're just a phone call away. Aftermarket parts support out of the factory in Eugene has been very handy for us. 50% of our crushing spread yet today is still branded Cedar Rapids, but the aftermarket support and Brand X support that we can enjoy in parts and service out of the factory, and it doesn't matter if it's screen parts, spindles, bearings, gears, those parts are readily available to us. And 66-inch roller cones, we run a couple of those. The factory's built us seal rings in the drop of a hat when others didn't have it available. Lead times weren't acceptable, and the factory has always jumped on board, made it a priority. The factory's always been very, very good to us.
Working with the Storedahls have been an absolutely pleasure. It's a 3-generation company. From the get-go, we sat down with Jerry Storedahl, the founder of the company, and then his 2 sons, Kimball and Kevin, who run the day-to-day operations, and then really the day-to-day with us, and really involved with the Storedahl family that's out in the plants that are running the machines every day. It's really been a unique situation where we've been able to interact with them. We've learned a tremendous amount from the Storedahls. You know, we wish that we could pass on a lot of what they do and how they operate to their other customers. They're truly exceptional operators and some of the best crushing people we know.
Proximity to the factory, that drive time between here and there, we've always looked at that. Yeah, they're 3 hours away, but in reality, they've always been so helpful that 3 hours really is only an hour and a half, because if we're in a pickle, they'll throw parts in the back of a pickup and they'll head this way and they'll meet us halfway and to help get us back on line and back in production. And that's very important to us.